I'm a weight loss specialist, a nutritionist, and a health coach. I'm Healthy Emmie, and I'm going to be telling you today how to release inflammation, lose weight, and tone up. I feel like Dr. Evil in this chair. If you're new here, I'm the creator of the Slim program, and if you want to learn about how you can get a custom meal plan, a custom workout plan, the exact plan to follow, and access to me to answer all of your questions so that you can do all of these 3 things, you can visit the link in the description. The most important thing before we jump into these is to understand what your body actually needs. How do you know if you need to release inflammation? How do you know if you have inflammation? How do you know if you have a high body fat percentage? How do you know if you have high or low muscle mass? Because let me tell you something. I have clients in my Slim program who come to me who think, oh, I need to release fat, or oh, I need to build muscle. I've had clients who say, I think I need to build muscle. And then we find out by using a product like the one I'm going to talk about that actually they have a beautiful, strong, sculpted figure, but it's hiding underneath body fat. And then when they lose body fat, they reveal this beautiful, strong, sculpted figure. So how do we find out what your body actually needs? I have other clients who, same situation, tons of muscle mass, great figure, but they're holding on to inflammation. So they don't need to lose fat. They actually have low body fat percentage. They need to work on lowering their inflammation, and they make the mistake of reducing their calories, focusing on losing fat, but they don't see a change because they don't need to focus on fat loss. They need to focus on reducing inflammation. So how do we find out what your body actually needs? We use a product like this. Hume is the sponsor of today's video, the Hume Body Pod. I just got one for my mom. I'm getting my dad to use it as well because my dad is in a situation where he says, the weight is going up a little bit, but I think it's muscle, but I'm not sure. Instead of stewing on it, he's now gonna step on this and actually find out, because the Hume Body Pod tells you whether you're holding on to water weight, that's related to inflammation. It's gonna tell you your body fat percentage. It's also gonna tell you exactly where on your body you're holding the fat. It's gonna tell you if the fat is visceral, meaning that it's surrounding your organs, or if it's subcutaneous, it's underneath your skin. It's gonna tell you your muscle mass. It's going to tell you where on your body you're low in muscle, where you're high in muscle. This is a comprehensive report to 98% grade medical accuracy of what's going on in your body so that you can take the right focus. Otherwise, you're going to be on the hamster wheel trying all of these different things. Whereas when you get something like the Hume Body Pod, you step on it and then you find out, oh, okay, I'm holding on to a lot of water. I'm going to focus on inflammation. Or, wow, I actually have a good amount of muscle mass, so I need to focus on losing fat. I cannot recommend this highly enough. It's HSA and FSA eligible, so you can use your funds on it in that sense. You can also get 50% off when you use the code Emmie, up to 50% off, and it's a stackable code too. So if there's a promo on the website right now, use the code Emmie and you can get another discount. It is so simple to use. All you do is step on the scale, hold on to the bars, and it's going to give you a full body analysis. And it pairs up with other devices as well. It's an app on your phone. You could even step on the scale, not look at the number, and just let it all sync up to your phone and keep on with your journey. Thank you, Hume, for sponsoring today's video. It is linked in the description bar. So if you find that you're inflamed, the first thing that I want you to do is focus on lymphatic drainage. The lymphatic system is like your body's detox highway, and the only way to get it working is to turn it on through pumping it. This is different from the circulatory system in your body, your heart. The heart is the pump for the circulatory system. The lymphatic system isn't going to get going unless you get it going, and you can stimulate it through massage or you can stimulate it through movement. So if you're sedentary all the time, your lymphatic system isn't pumping and you're building up waste in your body, and it's going to lead to puffiness and bloating. You can see it in your face, the puffiness. You can feel it in your skin, like you can feel the edema. So getting the lymphatic system pumping is like unclogging a drain. And like I said, you can do it through movement and get yourself sweating. So a walk where you're in at least zone 2 cardio. If you wear a watch, you'll be able to see if you're in zone 2 cardio. There's also a formula that you can use. I'll pop it up on the screen here. Or you can do a lymphatic drainage massage. Now you can go somewhere, you can Google lymphatic drainage massage near me. You can go somewhere and they're awesome. Or you can stimulate it on your own through a gua sha, through dry brushing. I've started gua shaing and I've definitely noticed a difference in the sculpture of my face. Next on the list here, we have sodium reduction. Salt makes the body retain water. Because sodium is an electrolyte, it contributes dramatically to fluid balance in your body. When you're consuming too much sodium, the body is going to hold on to extra water so that it can maintain homeostasis in terms of the ratio of sodium to fluid in your body. So when your sodium levels are lower, your fluid levels are going to be lower because that's maintaining homeostasis, versus when your sodium levels are much higher, your fluid levels are also going to be much higher. So yes, this means don't add salt when you're cooking, but even more sneaky is that there is tons of sodium in processed foods and in restaurant foods. Like, restaurant foods are a boatload of sodium, but if you're eating processed foods as well, those have lots of sodium to extend their shelf life. So you got to cut out the processed foods as well. The easiest way to do this, if you're like, I'm living off restaurant food, I'm living off processed food, I have a free plate builder that you can follow. In my description bar, it'll say free plate builder calculator, and you can click it and you can customize what your goals are, your age, your height, your weight, everything. And I will tell you exactly how to build your plate so that you can escape the added sodium from the processed foods or the restaurant foods. It's super simple, super easy to follow, and it's going to allow your body to release a ton of inflammation, not just because you're going to be eating much lower sodium, but also because the foods that you're eating are going to be anti-inflammatory foods. Starches, vegetables, fruits, legumes, whole foods that don't have ingredients lists are naturally anti-inflammatory. You don't have to do anything crazy. Follow the plate builder. It's an anti-inflammatory diet, and it will allow you to release inflammation and water weight. Now, since we're talking about inflammation, I just have to quickly mention that if you are low in vitamin D, low vitamin D is directly linked to inflammation. So make sure you're supplementing. You don't have to supplement with mine, but of course, I'm going to recommend mine because there's no GMOs, no sugar, no oil, no gross stuff. It's nice and pure. And while you're at it, you can add on vitamin B12. If you're on a plant-based diet, this is a non-negotiable, and it helps with neurological function. So just need to shout those out. The next focus here is lose fat. Who needs to lose fat? People that have a high body fat percentage should be focusing on fat loss as the top thing to focus on because of the effects on cardiovascular health. So the first thing that we want to focus on if your goal is to lose fat is being in a calorie deficit. Now, the reason why I put this down is because no matter what, bottom line, you have to be in a calorie deficit if you want to release weight. I have a lot of clients who come to the Slim program and they ask, I heard that if you go on keto, you lose weight, or if you eat more protein, you lose weight, or if you intermittent fast, you lose weight. In all of these scenarios, the reason why people are losing weight is because they're in a calorie deficit. When people go on the keto diet, they stop eating donuts, they stop eating processed foods, they're in a calorie deficit, and they lose weight. When people go on a vegan diet, they're eating much more calorically dilute foods, they're cutting out all the processed junk, they're cutting out the fast food, they're in a calorie deficit, they lose weight. When people start intermittent fasting, they're not eating as much during the day, they're eating less calories, they're in a calorie deficit, they lose weight. Every diet is just a calorie deficit wrapped up in another way. That's what GLP-1s do. They force you into a calorie deficit because you're not hungry. This is what Weight Watchers does, and the counting points and the tracking macros. It's all just masking a calorie deficit. What is a calorie deficit? Okay, so your body burns a certain amount of calories every day. Let's say it's 1,500. If you eat 1,400 calories, you will be in a 100 calorie deficit every day. That'll be 700 calories over the course of the week. There are 3,500 calories in a pound, which means that in about 5 weeks, you would lose a pound of fat. Give or take, it's not a perfect science. But a calorie deficit is when you're eating less calories than your body burns. Your body burns calories when you're in a comatose state. So you watching this video are burning calories right now. When you exercise, you burn a little bit more calories. When you have higher muscle mass, you burn more calories. There's a lot of things that go into how many calories you burn, but you do burn calories just being alive. So don't mistake this for having to go to the gym and do a bunch of workouts to get you in a calorie deficit. You just have to eat less calories than your body is burning. You know what's funny is I wrote this 45 minutes ago, did my hair and makeup, and now I'm like, what's behind there? What is behind there? All right, 1 pound a week. Okay, yes. So the next point that I wanted to make is people ask me, how much of a calorie deficit should I be in? Okay, I actually don't recommend that you try to count your calories. Instead, I recommend you join the Slim program. And in the Slim program, I'll give you a meal plan. And the way that you can detect how much of a calorie deficit you're in is by looking at your weight loss. That's the only way to figure it out. And using the Human Body Pod is a great way to do that. So if you are losing 1 pound per week, that's right where I want you to be. That is perfect. Now, the title of this video is the fastest way to lose weight. You're gonna say, Emmy, 1 pound a week? Are you insane? I'm insane for other reasons, but for this reason, I am sane. Because if you try to release more than 1 pound per week, I guarantee you, handshake me right now, I guarantee you, you will regain the weight. Unless you are in the obese or morbidly obese category. If you're in the overweight category, stick to 1 pound a week. If you're obese or morbidly obese, it's naturally gonna be faster, actually, because you're losing a lot of water and inflammation. But if you're in the overweight category, or if you're on the higher end of the healthy BMI, even though BMI is not a perfect science, it's, to be honest, based on white men. Story for another time. But 1 pound a week is perfect. It is sustainable, it is healthy, and if you are losing too much weight too fast, I promise you, you're losing muscle. And we don't want that to happen either. So 1 pound a week is a perfect pace to lose fat at. And think about it this way. A year from now, you'd be 52 pounds down. And I know you're saying, Emmy, a year from now? I want this to happen now. And I've said this a million times in videos before, that if you want to lose 50 pounds by next month, I hope you like listening to my voice, because you're going to be listening to my advice for the rest of your life, because you're going to be gaining and losing weight for the rest of your life. You should be listening to my voice in my vlogs because you just love me. I tell clients, I want you to come to my channel and watch my videos so you can watch my vlogs, you can learn about superfoods, you can learn about biohacking, you can learn about all the varsity stuff. I want you to graduate from the weight loss stuff. Like, let's figure out the weight loss, get it settled, and then let's join the varsity team where we can talk about biohacking and superfoods and supplements and all that fun stuff. Okay, so next, if your goal is to tone up, whose goal should be to tone up? Well, the first thing that I want you to do is see topics 1 and 2, because as I referenced earlier in the video, I have clients who come to the Slim program that have a miraculous figure, a beautiful figure that is hidden underneath fat and hidden underneath inflammation. And for many of these people, they achieve bodybuilder-like status just from releasing inflammation and losing weight. And that's why getting the Human Body Pod is so important, because then you're able to see, oh wow, actually I have a really high muscle mass, but I also have high body fat percentage. So I'm gonna release that body fat and keep my muscle mass. So do these 2 things first. Because I also have clients who say, hi Emmy, my name is Sandra. I want to lose weight, get a butt, shape my shoulders. I want the hourglass figure. I want to lose 50 pounds but gain 20 pounds of muscle. I really want a sculpted shape. I want to reduce my inflammation. I want to grow my glutes, and I want to do it by next week. Oh, Sandra D. Not gonna happen. You can have it all, but not at the same time. We can do all of those things, but we have to focus on fat loss, then focus on gaining muscle, because the reality, as I've written here, delay the muscle gaining journey. The reality, you know how I told you have to be in a calorie deficit in order to lose fat? In order to gain muscle, you have to be in a caloric surplus, which means you have to be eating more calories than your body is burning. That's what's going to build new muscle. Like, these are the laws of thermodynamics. If you want to put on new muscle, their mass cannot be created or destroyed. So the only way to put on muscle mass is to eat extra calories so that we can put on that muscle mass. And of course, that has to be paired with what we call progressive overload. If you're just eating a ton of food, it's not going to become muscle, it's going to become fat. But if you want it to become muscle, you have to engage in progressive overload. which is when you are building up and pushing the amount of weight that you're lifting. So I was talking to my mom about this because she wants to get toned arms for my wedding. And she was doing 5-pound dumbbells or 8-pound dumbbells, but she was doing bicep curls. And I said, she wanted my feedback, so this was not unsolicited advice, but I said, that looks too easy. She's like, she would do 20 reps, no problem. And I go, is that hard? She's like, well, as you get close to 20, it gets a little tiring. And I said, no, no, no. We want it to be a situation where every rep is difficult, not to the point where you're injuring yourself, but you need to give your muscles reason to grow. And they're only going to grow if you're lifting weights that are heavy. I would rather have you do a lower volume of a higher weight. So instead of doing 20 reps of 8-pound dumbbells, I'd rather have you do 10 reps of dumbbells that are difficult. If that's a 10 or a 12.5 or a 15, again, you shouldn't be straining. You shouldn't be at risk for injury, but it need to be difficult. And then that weight needs to be increasing over time in order to build new muscle. And like I said, in the Slim program, I have workouts in there, and you can do progressive overload through the workouts that are in the Slim program. I think the easiest way to achieve all of these is just to join the Slim program, but hey, what do I know? I've only had 4,000 plus people in it. You guys got this. Look at this. You can figure this out. You got me, I got you. We'll figure this out together. I love you, honeys, and I'll see you in my next video.